Welcome to my show. A guest here. Her name is Andrea O'Connor. Mrs. Andrea, how are you doing, ma?
I'm good, but you can call me Andy. Only my mom calls me Andrea.
All right, no worries, Andy. And also, thank you so much for the time and the opportunity, Mrs. Andy. Firstly, you are a nutrition and gut health coach. You are also a personal trainer. Can you please, Andy, discuss more about yourself and how you are doing currently now, Mrs. Andy?
Talk a little bit about myself. Okay, so I'm a mom of four. I have four grown children. My oldest is 32. My youngest is 24. And back about 15 or so years ago, I was extremely unhealthy. And I was suffering from a lot of different things at the time. I really didn't know what exactly it was, but I had a lot of anxiety, hypoglycemia, digestive issues, heart palpitations, panic attacks, all different kinds of things. I was going through a divorce at the time from a 17-year marriage and pretty unhappy marriage at the time. So, and I was actually, I've been a hairdresser for over 30 years. So I had my own business back then. I had my own salon. And I was just trying really to figure out how can I change my life and how can I feel better. But I went to a naturopath doctor. He suggested I might have a severe gluten sensitivity. And I said, oh, heck no, I can't deal with this right now. And there was just too much going on in my life physically and mentally that I could not even think of implementing another change in my life, of cutting something out. I don't even know what it was, right? At the time, I didn't know what gluten was. So it really wasn't until about 2 years later when I was visiting my family in Germany, when I was feeling so bad, I was afraid I was not going to make it back home because my heart wouldn't stop racing and my digestive system would just not keep anything down. And I was just feeling absolutely horrible. At that point, I had about four panic attacks a week in the middle of the night. I would wake up with really bad panic attacks. And I decided that if I were to make it home, I would change my life. So that was pretty much the beginning of the end, needless to say. And that's when I decided, okay, let's get into let's figure out what is gluten, how can I cut it out? Let's listen to my doctor. I got myself off medications from my medical doctors that really didn't do much for myself, like anxiety or depressing medications for depression, and also beta blockers for my heart because my heart was always racing. But I really didn't do much in the end. So I decided I was going to go off of this and I was going to completely change everything I have ever known to myself and get better because I wanted to be there for my children and I wanted to be there for my future grandchildren. So I started with taking gluten out first, and it didn't really take very long because I decided also to change my career and learn more about the things I can do for myself, and then hopefully pass them on to other people later on once I know more and figured out what is going on with me and how I can help myself. And so I went back to school while I was working at my salon. And it was a very chaotic life because I was a single mom. I had my salon, I was working there full time. I would go to school after work, do night classes, and drive for an hour to get to college. And then I would do wedding hair on weekends and also catering to provide for my family. So it was a very chaotic life at that point. Um, but I've learned a lot through these times. And that's when I started exercising for the first time. I didn't start exercising until I was in my 40s because I needed some kind of stress reduction. And so I started out taking gluten out of my diet. I started exercising, and I started feeling just a little bit better, but never really to the point where I would say, oh my gosh, I feel great, right? I still had panic attacks at that time. I still had anxiety, and I still had some digestive issues, but not as bad as it used to be. So then I started going to school and I started learning more about inflammatory things like inflammation in your body and how your body can react to it. And so I got further even more on how not just gluten, but sugars and artificial sweeteners and toxins in the environment and toxins in our food between genetically modified organisms, the GMOs and the pesticides and the plastics. So everything started coming together slowly. I used myself as a guinea pig. So it was many years of a trial and error journey. And just started from there. And then in 2019, I graduated um, and decided that I wanted to pay it forward because at that time, yes, I was feeling a lot better, but definitely not as well as I do feel today. Um, but I felt like it was kind of like a hidden secret almost, and I needed to teach other people on how to live healthier, right? Um, so I was still working at my salon and doing all the other things, like catering and wedding hair and stuff like that until 2020, when everything, the whole world shuts down, right? So that's when I shut down my salon as well. But that's the year my husband and I got married and we moved from Connecticut to Colorado. So since then, I have been, working more in the field and getting my certification as a NASM personal trainer as well. So, and right now I'm getting certified in menopause. So, I've been just slowly building my business,
Mm.
kind of
Yes.
going in that direction of really paying it forward because I feel wonderful today. I'm much stronger today. I'm much healthier today. I don't have the issues that I used to have anymore. I can eat gluten again. It's really a wonderful feeling to be on the other side of it. But it's so much more than just diet. There's just so much more that goes into like lifestyle wise, right? Stress reduction, all that kind of stuff. So I've done a lot of work on my own to get to that point, and now I have a program that teaches other people to do the same.
I
Does,
sincerely
does that answer your question?
Every single thing about yourself is what you've brought out, and what you brought out is profoundly beautiful. You came
Thank
from a
you.
position whereby when you were in your early age with your first person you were with, you had a lot of issues, a lot of ups and downs, and a lot of health issues. And those areas during that time was something you will, be in a position during that time. What is wrong with me? Even traveling to Germany to your family and realizing that you have to actually remove something in your health. All those things gather together to actually bring out something that you have to give the question, what is actually wrong? And this same situation will also be around a lot of women that are out there. And bringing your perspective and the experience you've had to actually create, for a certification and also understand this better and having the best message now. You are feeling better. There is no issue and every single thing is going great. Everyone want to know what actually goes on. How can I also understand better? Because also one or two of every single person who could be listening could be like, I think I have one or two health issues that I usually deal with constantly. So that is why I would like to drive to the area where many women, most of the time, over 40, feel like their bodies are suddenly changing without warning. They just see it just starts to change. So, how do you think they can understand what's biologically normal rather than feeling like something is wrong with them eventually?
Mhm.
Andy.
There's nothing wrong with them. There's nothing wrong with them. Look, um, I felt kind of like an outsider for quite some time when I was going through all my changes as well. And the conclusion I have come to, we're all in this together. Okay. So we're all aging. We cannot do anything about this, right? How we aging and how we are proceeding forward we can do something about it. What has happened in the past is in the past. There's nothing wrong with us, I don't think, coming from personal experience, because it we can fix most things, right? And we have to just become aware of what is going on with us. And yes, it feels like out of sort, and we just kind of like most people, most women don't even understand they might be in menopause until the first hot flash happens, right? I remember the day, I remember exactly where I was when I had my first hot flash. I was again visiting Germany in 2018 with my husband and my children, and I suddenly got this feeling from my core all the way up through my head. And it just was this very hot feeling. And I'm like, and I'm standing there and I say to my husband, I'm like, I'm having a hot flash right now. Like, what is going on? Right. So, and you can't test, there are no tests that really can confirm if you are in menopause and where you at in menopause, because hormones fluctuate all the time. Right. So, um, we don't really notice it until we're actually in it. And that's okay. Once we realize that we're in it, now we can like start focusing on like, let's see, what did I do today? Like, because for me personally, I know there are certain foods that back in the day, I don't get hot flashes really anymore. I'm post-menopause. Um, but there are certain foods when I eat them, it could bring on a hot flash, right? So, for instance, corn is one of those things that might trigger a hot flash for me. So, I don't eat a lot of corn. Or sugars could also be one of those things, right? So, there are tools that we can have, that we can use, that can help us figure out what might ignite what, right? And we have to truly, and that's one of those things I think a lot of people struggle with, is we have to go inward. We have to listen to our body. We have to learn to listen to the cues, because there are all cues. Our bodies are talking to us. A hot flash is a conversation that we're having with our body. If we're feeling off one day and we're having a lot of brain fog, that's a conversation that we're having with our body, meaning there's something off that we can change, right? And even mood in general, but especially when we have those hormonal fluctuations, can really be impacted by what are we eating, how are we living, are we exercising, are we getting enough sleep, are we eating healthy foods, are we eating a lot of processed foods with things that don't really become us. So there are a lot of factors to that, and yes, we feel out of sorts, but and it's actually really nice because a lot more people are talking about menopause nowadays. It's slowly coming out onto the surface, in conversations. And it's really nice because you're not alone and there's nothing wrong with you. You're going through a natural process. We just have to adjust to it now. We have to figure things out, what can help you to support you through that process. Because again, depending on who you are, yes, I'm very fortunate. My menopause, really from the beginning where I first had my hot flash, um, I've been in post-menopause, it's 2025 now, for 3.5 years. So for me, it was a very quick transition period, luckily. But I also believe it's because of a lot of the things that I have implemented into my life, between my diet and my lifestyle and the stress reduction and all these things that come into place. But I also know people that go through menopause for 20 years until the rest of their lives, right? And that's not pretty. And but again, we're all very different. I'd also believe that comes maybe on our gut health. What does our gut digestive system look like? Are there, do we have a lot of bad gut bacteria overgrowth? Do we have bacteria that support us through that process? So there's a lot of different factors that we can look at. But no, there's nothing wrong with you. We all go through the process of menopause, and it's just a normal thing that our ovaries are fading away, right? So unfortunately, we can't avoid that.
And it is also a time for most especially women to actually discover themselves and also become a source of strength to those who are coming in the coming future. This time, we do know sometimes when things happen, most especially in our health, we usually become more sensitive regarding the situation. But we have to be calm enough to listen to ourselves as humans and also try our best to make sure that nothing is actually wrong. This time when we call menopause usually happen, and when it happens, it just happen like very fast, and that is the beauty. That is just how powerful it is in its own way, and that is also a source for us to understand that despite everything as a woman one is doing, we're actually getting to a phase, and the phase we have to try our best to now know how we can work on that current phase, because we do know a lot of things will change during that time, but we do know that those phases that we've gotten into, how can we now use it to move forward, and how can we acknowledge that when the time comes. And that is why I would like to drive to the point whereby premenopause and menopause, we get to a position, as I said earlier, when you got your menopause during the time when you went to Germany, you were in the position whereby, it was like hot, and, it's definitely will bring new challenges. And it is different for every woman. It could be sleep for some women, it could be fatigue, it could be belly fat for some women. Some women usually grow fat during those times. So, what do you think are the practical step you think can help women to support their body during this transition, Mrs. Andy?
Yeah, there's a lot of things that we can actually do to help that transition. And,
Okay.
and most women go through all of these stages. Their metabolism slows down, they're gaining weight, they're having a lot more brain fog, they're having a lot more digestive issues. And, I often question myself, I know most of my journey was stress related, but I'm sure that if the stress would not have been there, would I have had the symptoms as badly as I did back then? I'm wondering if that was all part of menopause, perimenopause, before I moved into menopause. So
Yes.
I have no proof for that. I don't know, but the more I'm learning now, I feel like maybe it is related, right? So we can really prepare for ourselves. We just have to really kind of tune into our bodies, and there are action steps that we can take. Say, if I know that I'm somebody that has a lot of intense hot flashes, and you go to sleep at night, sleep in a cooler room. Try to have a cooler environment in your room, and maybe lay out a set of pajamas. So when you have to actually have these insane night sweats where you are drenched, you are prepared for it. And it just gives you a little bit of control because, I mean, in the end, you're still going to go through menopause, right? So, um, there's a lot more there's a lot of things that we can do. It's like you can also become like a detective, right? Say, what's causing the hot flash? Like, why is it so intense, right? Let me just kind of look at that, and we can take like food journals, and we can keep track. What was I eating the day of, the day before? What could possibly ignite it? If I see something in there that's more of an inflammatory food, it could possibly, like I said earlier with me, corn and sugar are the two things that will definitely ignite a hot flash for me, right? If I eat too much of it, right? So we can also take control because exercise really helps with like these balances, right? In hormones and also metabolism, right? So if we start exercising, it doesn't have to be anything dramatic. Like we don't have to become bodybuilders. We just have to be able to support our bodies in that. But exercising, connect with nature. We're also disconnected from nature. Not all,
Yes.
but a lot of us are disconnected from nature. Grounding yourself with mother nature can also like just calm your nervous system, right? And when your nervous system is calmer, I don't really know if there's a scientific study that actually connects your nervous system with the hormones and the effects of menopause, but I know for me it definitely helps when I have a stressful day. I could have had a much worse menopausal day than if I were to calm, my nerves down and do something for myself. My husband is always so great, and he knows when I'm stressed. He's like, let's just go take a walk, right? And I mean, I'm lucky. I live in the mountains at 7,500 feet above sea level, so I live in a beautiful area, right? I know a lot of people are not quite as fortunate, but try to just to connect with nature because it does calm the nervous system and it does reduce the stress. And when we reduce the stress, um, we don't have as much cortisol in the body. And so we can be we can be like our own little detectives and just kind of it's like a trial and error where we can just play around and see, oh, what works and what doesn't work, try it for a week or two and see how, if anything changes, right? See if if I eat white potatoes, is this going to
Yes.
give me a hot flash? Is this going to, if I eat candy, am I going to be cranky the next day or is my mood changing, right? Um, I know if I don't sleep well, my whole entire outlook on life is very different than if I do have a good sleep. And sleep is another one of those things that kind of oftentimes disintegrates for women like us in menopause where we just don't sleep very well. So sleep is one of those things that I still have a battle with as well. And it's been quite some time that I've been in postmenopause. So we need to try to figure out different things what could help us, right? Right now, I'm playing around with all different types of essential oils, and they seem to be helping, right?
Yes.
So, but again, like when it comes to that type of situation, like sleep is just one of those things that if we can get sleep down, everything else could possibly follow alongside it, right? Because when we sleep well, we eat better, we work out much better, right? We don't like
Yes.
when we're tired, we can't really work out as hard. We can usually have cravings for junk food, right? When we're tired, we have cravings for the things that we shouldn't be eating. Like if I'm tired, I crave sugar. I know sugar is not going to do me very well, right? So there are just different things that we can definitely become more into control over um, our day to day. And but again, it depends on who are we and how are the symptoms that we're going through. And again, it's like everybody is different. So I can't really give you a complete say like, okay, this is going to work for everyone. It's just not the way it is. We're not all the same. So
I totally agree.
yeah.
Totally agree, Andy. We are all different. As even humans, every single
Yeah.
woman on this earth have their different qualities. They have their different perspective. They cannot be the way same way. That is why the situation every single one we were facing will be 100% different. But as you
Mhm.
said, there is no one exercise isn't good for. Exercise is one
Mhm.
of the best way to relieve ourselves. Connecting with nature, as you said earlier, is also one of the best way to relieve ourselves. We do know that we're in a digitalized world, but if we have gotten to a certain stage sometimes, we need to give
Mhm.
ourselves a sense of coolness and we need to
Yeah.
try our best to rest very, very well. We shouldn't exaggerate too much because I think we shouldn't take it into complete conclusion that, I think it's over. No, it isn't over. I think it is just a time for us to sit down, restructure ourselves, see what we can do, and move forward regarding the perspective we find ourselves. If we can try our best as a women to do that, then menopause will be something that will feel the sense of joy. It is something that when it comes, it is something that we embrace and we try our best to move on and also try our best to explore more things. Just as you're doing, you are trying your best to actually bring your experience with from the past and everything you've done and also what you are currently studying currently to bring it into the point of women to make them understand better how this time can be a source of actually a challenge as well because the time is a time of challenge, but despite it being a challenge, there are ways we can try our best to also work on those challenges so it won't be a burden towards every single thing we're trying to build. So I sincerely thank you for every single good work you are doing out there, the great work you are doing for the old women, because I will always respect when women are the, they're the main source of the world, they're the grace of the world we find ourselves today, which is why we always respect women as well as women. So I want to sincerely thank you for the good work and every single thing you've done regarding the perspective on the premenopause and also those who are actually going to the point of menopause, premenopause, and also those who have gotten into the position currently. And also, Mrs. Andy, there is a question I normally ask during the end of the show from our forefathers, from our ancestors. There are a lot of things that do exist during our ancestral time that is missing in our time today. If there is anyone or anything you would like to bring back to our time today, Mrs. Andy, what do you think that thing will be, Mrs. Andy?
Oh boy, that's a really good question. First of all, I want to say I don't think we should let age define us, but we should define age, right? We
Yes.
have something we have been pounded in as we getting older. We should be feeling frailer and we should not be feeling so well. I don't think that's true. I think this is our time because by the time we get into the stages of midlife, um, we have had children, we have done our part, we've been caretakers, we've done all these things. And yes, now might maybe it's the time that we are empty nesters. Maybe our children have moved out, or maybe they're in college. We It's our time now. This is our time to shine again, right? So we have to go back to, I like to say, the way I grew up was my mom had her vegetable garden. We would go mushroom hunting. We would go apple picking. She would make all her foods at home from scratch. Now, I'm not saying we all have to do all it, like
Yes.
that extreme, but going to go backwards just a little bit and not taking everything that's on the grocery shelf for granted that it just because it says it's good for us, it doesn't necessarily mean it's good for us, but just become aware of what it is that we're putting into our body because there is so much food out there that really doesn't do us any justice. Okay. And then also just turn inward. We're so disconnected from life. We're on like a time clock and we're just go, 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 and never really think of us. We need to take that me time back. We need to just, even if it's just 10 minutes a day, right? And where we just sit and have a cup of tea and we just do some breathing or look at the beautiful, watch the birds outside. Whatever it is that puts a smile on your face, we have to find things that put smiles on our face, things that make us happy. And the world used to be so much happier, I feel like back in the day, or people at least used to be so much nicer and not saying that everybody is not nice. I don't want to say that, but we need to find more peace with ourselves. And we need to find things that make us happy, and not be so stressed all the time. Turn inward, connect what Mother Nature has given to us instead
Yes.
of abusing it. And just go back to some of the older ways like we used to live, like the way our grandmothers used to live. I mean, if you're looking back, they weren't sitting in front of technology 24/7 and becoming stressed out about what's going on with this person or in the world. We didn't even know what was going on in the world. And, things were so much more peaceful. And stress, I think, is a big part of how we're feeling, how we're going through midlife, and how we're eating and how we're taking care of us. So I think that we just need to turn the clock back a little bit and make time for us. We have to make time for us and we have to find something that puts a smile on our face and find things that make us happy. Be around the people that make us happy and that are respecting us for our boundaries and things. And, um, you know, maybe clean out the area to where we're in with everything that's around us and just also, the way you present yourself in the world isn't how other people perceive you. So we just need to share more of that more positive, less stress type of environment and share the love.
You've said at least majority of what several women needs to know. We do know that there are times like menopause which come when the time comes. We shouldn't be scared when it comes. And when it
Yeah,
also come, we shouldn't see it as the end of the world or as a time whereby we are down or we neglect a lot of things. It is a time for us to start to explore new things and look for things that will make us happy. It is a
mhm,
time for us to feel ourselves as a person who can actually give out and also give out information to those who are out there to improve their life and also become more better because elderly
yeah,
women or women that are actually more either they are more wiser and they have more ways to actually talk to people, to actually persuade people and show love and compassion. And that is why humility is the base point to actually share love and honesty with people we find around us. If we are down enough and we accept our inner self enough, we can be able to explore and see things that will make us happy, joyous, glad, and also see every one around us as people that are one of us. We should remember that despite we being on earth, despite the ups and downs, and despite even the menopause that come in, there will be a time whereby if we definitely live long, we grow old and we also move on again. And that is this life is
mhm.
just like a cycle. We can't compare our grandmothers. Our grandmothers never had technology. We can't compare them with the
No,
ones that are currently now. Now, the
yeah,
ones that I even realize that the ones that people are really neglecting the most are the elderly ones because technology has really, blinding us with a lot of things. And these are things that we have to try our best as humans. And that is why I love women who come out and say, I want to give out information because it is giving the space to actually, let go and also make other people learn better out there as well. And that is why
mhm.
I want to use this opportunity, Mrs. Andy, to thank you for the time, the opportunity you've given to me today. Thank you so much, Mrs. Andy.
Thank you, thank you. May I just say one more thing?
No problem.
You know, if we take ourselves back 20, 30, 40 years and we can see what have we overcome, accomplished, achieved over those years, it is there is no reason why we couldn't accomplish this. We're very strong individuals, right? And we really have to remember that. And again, like let's shine during that time and let's share and lift each other up, feeling bad about that we're getting older. I feel like every year is a celebration and we shouldn't say, oh gosh, I'm a year older. I'm like, yes, I'm a year older, I'm a year wiser, I'm a year stronger.
Definitely. I completely agree with you, Mrs. Andy. And I'm very happy you're actually doing it out there. Have a wonderful day, Mrs. Andy. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.